Hi everyone, welcome to G&T. I'm here with Rex from the Mind Matters Institute. My name's Glenn, and G&T is all about sharing wisdom and all those trials and tribulations as many of my clients have gone through. There's just really great stories to share. So Rex, mate,
Hey.
what's the story with your life? What have you been through over the years? Was there any sort of key point when you were younger that you went through a financial turbulent time, shall we say, and overcome it?
Yeah, sure. Because I'm in the mindset business, my take on money is I see it as a reflection of ourselves and our way of our attitude toward ourselves. So inner wealth, inner being, my idea of me reflects itself through my metaphor of work, business. So for me, the journey to that was fraught with lostness.
Right. Okay.
So you know,
Less so now, though.
a lot
Yes.
less so now.
That's good.
And so the idea of myself being fairly low as a young man
Yeah.
reflected financially.
Right. Okay.
So it could be really high, really low.
Right.
Big win, big loss, but no consistency or flow.
Ah. Okay. Yeah. And so, what was one of the bigger losses that you can remember?
Number
Sounds like there was a lot.
Okay, late 80s, 1989 crash.
Okay. Yeah.
I had in my exuberance
So you were talking about the stock market crash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1989. I had moved to Queensland. I was a Queensland manager and director of an organisation, and young and incredibly driven.
Yeah.
And so I had always understood as a young man that my external appearance, as in my presentation,
Yeah.
and the presentation of my space, was what people were looking for credibility.
Okay.
So a lot of young men go through that. So for me, I had extended myself.
Yeah.
So we had very palatial, beautiful space offices
Yeah.
that looked good. They were expensively furnished,
Right.
expensive car, expensive property. And of course, when the crash came, I remember standing there watching my cars being towed away,
Oh, wow.
watching people auction off my house,
All your things.
watching my wife leave, and stuff. And I remember standing there with very little money and thinking, I can't even buy a present for Christmas
Yeah.
in that moment
Yeah.
for my children.
Yeah.
So that was a profoundly meaningful moment for me, and in hindsight, an extraordinary turning point.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's interesting because it's like it's you're probably sort of saying like it's keeping up with the neighbours, is it that sort of
Yeah.
thing? Yeah, and so because you didn't actually own that stuff, it appeared that you did, but it was
Yeah.
I guess there was a lot of debt behind it by the sounds.
Always.
Because then when assets drop or income drops, then if it's all debt, well, it's going to
Yeah.
get paid back.
Yeah, well, you know,
Yeah.
the cliche was it's tax deductible, you know, like
Yeah.
this is how you run a business.
Yeah.
And it was that mindset in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s was very much about that.
Yep.
It was all about good impression,
Yep.
you know, and
I think
didn't
I'm
understand.
thinking Alan Bond sort of.
Bond, yeah,
It's
Skates.
all of that, yeah.
It was all about, you know, that mindset.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so for me, what I hadn't understood was that inner wealth, which is being,
Yep.
and a sense of wisdom and
Yep.
sturdiness and simplicity didn't require to extend yourself financially to be successful.
Yeah, you can just be yourself.
Yeah.
That would be
so
helpful.
it learned that it should grow from inside out.
Right. Okay. So it's technically you've got to be more whole on the inside
Yeah.
before things start looking better on the outside. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So developing a sense of inner wealth. My idea of myself
Yep.
walks in the room
Yep.
rather than a really good looking suit with
Yeah.
a sort of a lesser idea of myself.
Yeah.
So in terms of learning that was a big turning point for me.
Yeah. And so from a recovery perspective of going through that down period and everything getting sold, what was going on in your head over? Like, was it years or months to try and recover, or what was that sort
The
of
recovery was extraordinary because it was a complete transformation of who I was and my journey.
Okay.
So it went from trying to be successful externally
Yeah.
through my having
Yeah.
to developing myself internally. So I went to university
Wow.
in my 30s. and started. And I had an old Suzuki Hatch,
Yep.
which cost me less than $1,000. And it had a sort of a nuclear piece, a green sticker on the back, but smoke was pouring out as I went down the highway to Griffith University, and it was one of the happiest times of my life.
Wow.
And I was there, and I was on campus, and I never thought that I was smart enough. So that came later, was a part of inner development, was learning to decide that I was actually smarter than I thought, and transforming my idea of self. And then, of course, as I did that, the expression of that externally in terms of having started to change.
Yeah, and so with like 30, and then going back and doing a whole lot more study. Yeah, interesting time.
Big transformation.
Yeah, big changes in the
So the inner development, academically, tertiary wise, starting to grow my knowing, my wisdom, my knowledge, my experience, and psychology was starting to develop the idea of me who was able to have success.
Yeah, and so with you now and growing and getting the wisdom that you talk about, what's some key things in there that you've sort of probably maybe taken you from surprise? Is there any sort of surprises over those times where you've surprised yourself, that going, wow, that really worked out quite well, and then reflecting on it, and then why did that work out so well for you?
I think one of the biggest learnings there was that if you plant an acorn, it actually doesn't show anything much on the surface or at all for a while, like most plants.
Yeah.
So what I'd understood as a younger guy was that if it wasn't there immediately, then it didn't have value or wasn't successful.
You want to see it straight away.
Yeah, we're looking for fast stuff, instant gratification.
Yeah.
And what I learned was the long, steady growth. And one of the big learnings was property.
Yeah.
It was to buy a property and just leave it.
Yep.
Leave it to grow. Yeah, and it's sort of just tick tock, and it doesn't seem like a big return, 8-10%.
That's right.
And then you look 10 years, it might double, but I don't want to wait 10 years.
No, I want to know,
yeah. But then sitting back and watching the growth, and then having the assets, and they're being paid down, they're being owned, and then watching that.
It's natural flow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's sturdy, and it's deep and meaningful, and you can lean into it.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah. And as a financial planner, I like what you're saying there. That's ticking all the boxes in terms of like a good quality asset and time, because as human beings, we're very short-sighted in time frame, and we all want it now. And you see sort of like, if you get, like, for example, like with the volatility that we had back in 2020 with COVID, and then that fast rally back, like the day traders love that sort of stuff about buying and selling on the share market because the instant gratification. And however, we tend to forget about 15, 20 years of an investment and the returns you get on that. So well done, that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, good recognising.
Yeah, it was a great learning. And so now in money, it's pay yourself first.
Yeah.
So for me, the philosophy, and my team know that I am vigilantly obsessive about, and it came from The Richest Man in Babylon. Which I remember reading years and years ago. One of those learning curves was, this is really important to learn about how money works.
Interesting rhetoric in that book, but if you get your head around that,
the simple part that I grabbed, because I was into simple financial concepts, was a part of everything. Well, and the principle was a part of everything you earn is yours to keep. And so pay yourself first. So every dollar that comes in, a part goes clink into a treasure chest. And it doesn't look like much. And then it starts, and the same principle as the land. And you go, oh my God! And then over time it builds, and then you trans. So for me, that was the two big learnings: was patience, sturdiness, live within your means. Keep it simple. I learned to keep it simple in those years at university, living very humbly from the life I'd had.
And did you have Did you have a bit of a part-time job while you were studying, or how were you getting involved?
Yeah, I went out and I did anything. So I went out. I sold things. Anything, door to door, knocking. It was hard getting told to go away.
Character building.
Character building. There was lots of that, and learning. I did what I had to do to make a living to pay my way. To get through. And that also taught patience, stillness, and that what road I'm on, like if I'm knocking on a door to sell something, I look through that to where I really want to get to. And I used to see, it's funny because in hindsight, back then I didn't understand what I was doing. Now I fully understand and teach it. Is that I could see myself sitting in a beautiful space. And I was a psychologist, and there was clients, and they were coming to me, and I was sitting there, and there was lovely things, which was important then. A nice desk, a nice space, and this beautiful space. And I was there, and I was helping, guiding, being of service. And which was the third one, which was to give. In my younger years, I thought, it's all about me. And my success, and everybody's watching, and I'm looking for significance. To it's not about me as such, it's about them and serving and helping. So that ingredient came true.
Because you cannot serve and then get remunerated, or get remunerated appropriately. So you cannot go and do a job and not get paid if you do a good job.
Because money is the exchange of value.
Exactly.
An exchange of value.
Well said. That's good. Like that.
So it just all started to come together, and then I remember a time sitting in my space in the realm of psychology and that sort of work that I do, and having that. I know many people have probably flashed and gone, "Oh my God, I'm looking at what I dreamed of," and I'm sitting and gone, "Oh my God, I'm sitting here, and everything I dreamed of while I was sitting in some lecture, here I am." And it was watching how the oak tree started to rise up out of the ground, and then I could start to climb in it. But I can't climb in it too early, which was my early learning. That if you do, it'll fall over. It can't hold you up. But it's worth building something wonderful, and that the structure of wealth isn't just about the money. It's the whole structure of a culture and a way of thinking and a way of being and a responsibility and a giving and a presence and a sturdiness. You're building Camelot. So when things do change, like 1989. And 2006 or 7, what was it, GF?
8.
I can always say BFG, the big friendly giant. What was it, GFC?
It was a big giant, they come along.
It was.
But that's the thing, is that you have these massive events that certainly get a lot of media attention and that we pick up on. But you know what? Then there's the GFCs, or the big friendly giants, that are happening to individuals externally to that, where they're going through things too, aren't they?
Well, the beautiful thing in hindsight for me is when GFC hit, my structure could hold it.
Could hold it and get through it.
And it could weather the storm. And so second learning was you do that from inside out. You do that from within first, and then build your structure with integrities and principles and values that are immutable. And I learned the word immutable, which was really fun. Later on.
Try to spell it. Rex, that is fantastic. That is really great. Look, so much wisdom in there that's just like jam-packed. But it's a life of experiences though, isn't it? It's incredible. Incredible stories. And thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for sharing your stories. Oh, absolutely. And of course, with the G&T, Rex, we have
Oh my God.
The gin.
Do I get a bottle?
You get a bottle of gin.
Thank you, Glenn.
That's okay. Don't drink it all at once. And of course, thank you, chocolates.
Thanks, dude. And thank you,
Rexy.
and congratulations on your wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
Your
thank
journey.
You.
Wow. So I love
and that's the thing, isn't it? Everyone has a story. So which is great. And on that note, if you've got a story, and if you've got some questions and you want to reach out, don't hesitate to contact us and give us a yell. More than happy to help out where we can. So thank you very much. Thanks, Rex.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more wisdom, help and support with your financial future, reach out to Glenn at fairwayfinancial.com.au.